I'm Greg Hunter. Welcome to USAWatchdog.com. A shout out to my trusted advertisers. Just to let you know, all my advertisers come to the phone. They give great service. I don't get a lot of complaints because if there's a problem, rarely, with all of them, they take care of it. I don't have to, ride herd over anybody. But this is discount gold and silver trading a gold record high price with 3,200. The satellite phone store, you have the satellite communications and the solar battery powered backup. This came in really handy in places like North Carolina when people's power got knocked out. It stays fully charged. You can put it in your closet. You can charge it in a 110 outlet, and then you can charge it in your car. You can use the solar panel, too. It's a fantastic device. Also, the dark bags block all signals, Faraday, and ballistic bags at darkbags.com. They're fantastic. The people at J6 wouldn't have been arrested if they had their phone in one of these bags. And the backpack stops most handgun rounds. Clean water, you got to have it. These filters fit Berkey. And again, phone numbers for all. Weston Scientific. He's going to be our guest today, Weston Warren. But I want to tell you, we're going to do a deep dive on what you need to be doing to make sure your air scrubbing technology, bipolar air scrubbing technology, is working. I tell you all the time, I have it in every room in my house. He'll be coming on. He's a bona fide scientist, and he's going to be talking. He's going to blow your mind. I'll just say that. I'll bring him on in just a second. Wellness company, get life-saving meds now. Great company, great stuff they have with their detox, their spike protein, ultimate detox, and also the Tax Network USA all have phone numbers and all there. So before I bring on Weston Warren, who's a bona fide scientist, that's how he came up with this bipolar air scrubbing technology. Not like ionic breeze, not like filtration. No, stuff that knocks out mold and spike proteins and chemicals and all kinds of the nanoparticle, the stuff they're spraying on us, all this stuff. Fantastic air scrubbing bipolar ionization technology. But he's also a bona fide scientist. And in 2023, in April of 2023, he called me on the phone and says, hey, I just want to let you know that, we're going to have higher wind and higher hail this year. I said, how do you know this? Well, because it's the way the planets are lining up. And we're going to have higher wind and higher hail, bigger hail, more hail. And that's going to happen in 2023, this coming summer and fall. So I moved to Missouri, actually. And then I was getting my car insurance done at my State Farm office. And the person's got a big State Farm office all over the billboards all over this. She's on, relatively well-known insurance person. And I said, a friend of mine said that we were going to have high winds and high hail. She stopped typing and said, this was the worst year we've ever had for wind and hail. We had roofs, we had hail damage, car damage. Worse, and 2024 is worse than that. How did my friend know this? We're going to get into that. We're going to get into the black star. The black star. Not Nibiru. The black star. I tell you, this is going to blow your mind. And I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't stick my neck out unless I knew he was a bona fide scientist. Just hang on. And this is why the black star is creating, if I understand it, and I'm not a scientist, but I think I understand, it's creating magnetic poles that is basically wreaking havoc. Like things like this. Violent earthquakes rock Thailand, Myanmar, 7.7. The quake collapses high-rise building. Look at the damage that's happening. We're getting more and more of this stuff going on. Okay, not your imagination. You're hearing about it more and more. Here's one for you. This just happened a week ago. Scientists sound alarm as U.S. volcano about to erupt. Volcanoes and earthquakes go hand in hand because of the crust of the earth and that kind of thing. Scientists have identified early warning signs of a potential volcanic eruption at Mount Spur, located in Alaska. That's not the only place, because if you take a look at a map of volcanoes and earthquakes that are happening, it's like, wow, there's a lot going on in the world. What did Jesus say? He said, before I come back, there'll be earthquakes in diverse places. And you can blame that on what is called the black star. And without further ado, we're going to do a deep dive with my friend and brother and bona fide scientist, Weston Warren. Weston, thanks for joining us today on USAWatchdog.com.
You're welcome. Glad to be on your show again.
The black star. This is not Nibiru. That's all CIA misinformation, dead crap. They have known about this for a while. Let's start back to where you were telling me in 1980 in the first supercomputer they figured out about the pattern of destruction on the Earth, and it's a black star. Let's start there briefly. They've known about this for a long time.
Well, yes, according to kind of forensic analysis, and I used the term black star. Black stars, if you were to do a research, is theoretical. But the anomaly that's in our solar system kind of matches. That's the closest definition of black star. So that's what I call it. We call it in our research group. It's theoretical, but I'll explain what this solar system anomaly has been doing.
And let me add one thing. You have about 300 scientists that you talk to all over the world. It's kind of weird. It's almost like a Marvel comic group, but it's real, not fake. But anyway, you talk to scientists all over the world, which you are one of the scientists that's involved in this. But go ahead.
But yeah, we're an independent scientific community, so it's unbiased. We're not prejudiced with government contracts and connected with universities and have a certain parameter that we research and maybe handcuff what we can and can't say. So being independent gives you that freedom of true research where it's not biased, and then the ability to discuss what our theories and findings are. So going back to 1980 forensics, I don't have documentation in court where I could prove this. So maybe you can put this in the form of speculation. If we go back to 1980, I'll connect the dots leading to today and what we expect in the near future. And it's important information because it's really a warning, a heads up. It's not, this interview is not meant to scare the daylights out of your listening audience, to create fear. It's really based on reality and probably information that is highly censored, and you will not hear about it in scientific papers, in news media, in academia. I can guarantee that. It seems that in 1980, the advent of, as computers got more powerful, maybe the era of the first supercomputers. You remember back then, they were many floors of a building. The computational power was advanced enough to calculate that this anomaly was inbound. And this is an electromagnetic emitter. And it's a different electromagnetic emitter than our sun. It's quite common for solar systems to be binary, to have two stars. In traditional academia, it's not discussed. Is our solar system potentially one that's binary? Well, you look at all the textbooks and you do a search on the internet, it says absolutely not. We just have one sun. All right, well, that's information that they want everyone to know. Is it possible? You can kind of come to that conclusion by the end of this interview. But in 1980, based on, there's historical records. There's ancient civilizations and history where they had recorded Earth events, Earth anomalies, wrote it down. And a lot of those findings were discovered in archaeological digs and then whisked away in secrecy. Well, who got that information? It's very interesting. Ancient true history, ancient knowledge, and archaeological findings are of great value. Strong possibility that everything found is not freely relayed to the public. So the computer estimated that this electromagnetic emitter is inbound. It's a special type of emitter. You can't see the electromagnetic frequencies. It's not visible to the human eye, to a telescope or a radio infrared telescope, and there's a reason why. But it's quite possible that with that finding of the calculations and correlating it with ancient historical records, that the increase of underground facilities could have gone up 4,000%. to prepare for what's coming.
Well, nobody talks about Elon Musk's, and I like Elon Musk and I like Trump, but nobody talks about the Boring Company and all this money being spent. Have it Captain Austin Fitz on. Where did the 21 trillion, the missing money, go? And then Dr. Mark Skidmore at University of at Michigan State University says that's it. There's more. There's more money, off book money, and where did it go? And you say that you were telling me it's an immense amount of money. Where do you think all this money that's not part of the 36 or 37 trillion dollar deficit, where do you think all this money went?
Well, I'm not a forensic accountant or an economist, but if you use common logic, estimates 21, 60 trillion, who knows, $60 trillion. That is a very large amount of money. We throw around the term trillion all the time, $1 trillion deficits, $1 trillion here, but it's very difficult for the human mind to comprehend just how large a trillion of anything is, like 1 trillion seconds versus 1 million seconds and 1 billion seconds. So like a million seconds is a few days. A million seconds is like 31, a billion seconds is like 31 years, and then 1 trillion seconds is 31,000 years. So it's exponential. But if you have 20, 60, 40 trillion dollars missing, you would see it on planet Earth on the surface. The infrastructure, the money's too immense to not see it in commercial flights, drone footage, satellite images. It's not in bank accounts, offshore bank accounts in a banking system. It's not in gold or silver. You don't have $60 trillion of physical gold and silver that's mined and minted. So where is it? It either has to be a combination of underground or off planet.
And you're saying that they are getting ready for this with this space, whatever they're going to have to do in space, and particularly what they're doing underground. They're building underground bunkers. We know they're building domes, deep underground bunkers. We know they are. We know the Boring Company is a real company. We know that's happening. We know we've had video of trucks going into these big caverns in Springfield, Missouri, stocking up stuff in these caverns, right? So the continuity of government, the powers that be, the elite, the weasels, they know this is coming.
If you were to ask me, I would say yes. There's indications they know what we know. Maybe they have a little more information because they have more money, deeper pockets for better intel.
So this is why we had higher amounts of hail and higher amounts of wind. And that's why you were saying it's because of the gravitational pull on the Earth, which is causing havoc, extremes in the weather. Explain that.
Right. So, the Earth, this is probably getting into the good part of the interview. It'll be a lot of scientific terms. I'll try to simplify it as much as possible. And this is really, we give a private consultation. These are days of seminars explaining in detail. And our consulting business, which is interesting, has increased 900% the last 2 years. So what does that tell you? And we don't advertise. This is for private audiences. But as this anomaly is approaching our solar system, it's affecting primarily the 4 interior planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. As it approaches, if it's an electromagnetic emitter, which it is, like our sun, once it gets to a certain distance, it'll make electromagnetic polarity or grounding. You ever play, I'm sure we all have as kids, you ever play with pretty powerful magnets? You have them on the table and you scoot one magnet closer and closer to the other magnet. And at a certain distance, you start to see the other magnet wiggle.
Yep.
When it starts to wiggle, you've made electromagnetic portal connection between one magnet and the other. And then as you maybe push the magnets together, it moves even more and then starts to move away, or depending on the polarity, as it's wiggling, you get closer, and all of a sudden they come together. Well, this isn't any different. As it's inbound, there's a certain point where it gets close enough. Let's reference Earth, since this is our home. It gets close enough that it makes that grounding, that invisible umbilical cord, or that electromagnetic corridor connection to the Earth's core. Well, when did that happen? According to our calculations and understanding, it was around 2004 that this anomaly was inbound and came close enough to make electromagnetic connection to the Earth's core. Well, what happened in 2004? Some people, that's a long time ago, but let's get some reference. We have what's called solar cycles. Some of the scientists out there in your audience will understand. Solar cycles are basically 11 years. And we're in solar cycle 25. Solar cycle 25 started December 2019. But if we go back to 2004, we were in solar cycle 23. So solar cycle 23 started August 1996. It ended November 2004. Or in solar cycle 23 started August 1996. But in 2004, solar cycle 23, around September, October, November, it's what's called in its waning period. So during a solar cycle, you have a crest of activity, and then it wanes. And then the next solar cycle, the next 11-year period, there's an uptick and then a wane. So in 2004, it's in a declining state, solar cycle 23. So the Earth should be fairly quiet and calm with that activity, but it didn't. So in 2004, you had a resurgence of activity in Mount St. Helens, like around September, October 2004. And then a huge shock, probably one of the most tragic natural disaster events in modern history, was the tsunami that struck around Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, December 24th, 2004 in Indonesia. That's where you had almost 400,000 people die in that tsunami. So with the activity of Mount St. Helens and then a massive tsunami killed so many people, the devastation in Indonesia. Why would that happen when we're in solar cycle 23 and it's in a declining state? So the sun's activity is getting weaker and weaker, very insignificant. It had to have been an outlier. Something in our solar system had to have interacted with the Earth's core. Well, that would be when this anomaly inbound approaching our solar system finally got close enough, like those two magnets, that illustration, where it made that connection. And since 2004, it's been inbound, getting ever and ever closer to Earth and Mars, primarily Earth and Mars orbit. So our Earth's core has been receiving extra electromagnetic energy, other than what it normally gets from our sun, from the second emitter. Well, there's ramifications for that. And I'll start to explain that now. Unless you have a question, you want me to continue?
No, I want you to continue. Okay. I just want to say that. So this has taken decades, a couple of decades for it to hit its crescendo. Since we're getting into go time now. We're getting into where it's going to get. That's why we're having all these volcanoes and all this eruptions and earthquakes that are happening at higher frequencies. It's because when you have a map on this, when the Earth is it moves, but it doesn't move that fast. It doesn't move like a shooting star. So we are moving around the sun, and then we get closer, and it gets closer, and then we get closer to it. That kind of thing. So maybe we could show the planets. What's happening with the planets? You got a diagram for this.
Okay, yeah, so let me share my screen here. And let me know when you see it.
There we go. That's it.
Okay, can you see my mouse?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So this very nice software. It's available to the public. You can get a premium subscription where it has more features, but they're nice enough to allow this for free. Solar System Scope. So it's a 3D model in real time, and there's dates. So you can pick the position of the planets anytime in history. So on the screen here, this is today, Friday, April 11th, 2025. And if I zoom in a little bit and tilt, right now we can see the position. Here's Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars. These are the interior planets. You have to back out to see Saturn way over here and see Jupiter.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll focus right now on today's planetary alignment, April 11th, 2025. What happens if I tilt this? Right now we're in an even plane where you see Mars, Earth, Venus, Mercury, Saturn, Neptune way over here. If I tilt it now and we start looking from south of the ecliptic, okay, so this would be north looking top down. I'm going to tilt it from the south. Follow me?
Yep.
This anomaly is coming from this direction, from the south of our ecliptic.
Okay.
South from our ecliptic here. So what happens is, if it's inbound, it's not large. So this isn't a huge planetary where it collides with planets and causes great havoc. Most likely, it could be smaller than Rhode Island, or it could be the size of Dallas and its suburbs. But as it's inbound, coming from the southern ecliptic, historical records indicate that as it's entering our solar system, which it has, and the fall of 2004, it makes electromagnetic portal connection. It's inbound, inbound, inbound. So as it's coming in and in and in, a planet our size, it takes about 25 years, and the Earth is being terraformed. The Earth is going to change the topography of the Earth, and it's going to look different. Well, this has happened before many times in Earth's history. An anomaly like this affecting the Earth. Most likely, this is what caused the flood of Noah's Day. Wow. This inbound electromagnetic anomaly, and it exits our inner solar system in between Earth and Mars, and jettisons out to the far distant regions, and then makes its trip back. Now, it's subject to debate. Is it every 4,300 years? How often does it come? That's. I don't need to get into it in this interview. It would take too long, right? But I'm letting you know that it's inbound. It does not collide with any planet. You don't have to worry about that, but it is affecting the Earth's core. So what happens is, if you look at this cutaway, this is, I think, back like 2011. Do you see this on the screen?
Yes.
Earth, okay. Here's your core, and here are magma plumes. These magma plumes have grown and expanded since 2004 because the core has been receiving additional electromagnetic energy from this anomaly, and these plumes have expanded. As they expand, because they're getting heated up by the core, this magma swells, rises, and starts displacing the glassy, rocky magma that the continental tectonic plates are floating on. So see the problem there?
Yeah, this is why we're getting all these earthquakes and volcanoes.
Volcanic activity, exactly. And I'll give a timeline so people can watch this interview and rewind and take notes. I strongly recommend this. So this is 2011. It doesn't look like this anymore. See, these red magma plumes have swelled and are completely filling the interior of the planet, and they're pushing up against the continental tectonic plates and displacing them.
Wow.
So here's another illustration. This is a mini illustration of like Samoa, Hawaii area. See how these plumes will rise and see the red magma?
Yeah.
Plumes here. This is magma. This is volcanic activity. So this is what shoots out of an active volcano, and you see it in news media. There's volcanoes erupting right now. There's over 45 continuous eruptions as we speak.
Wow.
Right now. There are 170 active volcanoes in the United States and its territories. So if you include Guam and Hawaii, Hawaii is a state, but Puerto Rico, and there's 170 active volcanoes in the United States and its territories, and there's over 1,300 active volcanoes worldwide. Well, that's what happened. This magma now is either pushing up against the ocean seafloors, or they've breached and they're being seen in news media with volcanic eruptions, or these plumes, this hot magma rising from the core, displacing the cooler, thinner viscosity magma that our continent tectonic plates are floating on. This magma is starting to melt the tectonic plates from underneath.
Wow.
So what I'll do is go back to stop sharing for now so I can see. I've got an illustration here. Do you see him on your camera now?
Yep, I see you on your camera.
Okay, so I have a candle. We all have a typical candle, wax candle. So picture this being the continental tectonic plates. So I don't mean to pick on anyone, but we'll just say up here, let's say this is Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, right here. Everyone's living here, driving, traffic, going to work. And this is the bottom of the North American tectonic plate. As the magma rises, it does this. What happens with this lighter if I keep it underneath this candle?
Candle melts.
Over extended periods of time. Okay, what happens if that flame under the candle for 25 years has been lighting this candle? The candle melts. So the candle will get thinner, thinner, and thinner, and that's what's happening worldwide. So if you live in an area where the continental crust is thin and it's been heating up and melting, you're in trouble. Well, a lot of the.
Where is it thin? Where is it thin? Where is it thick in America? Where is it thin?
Okay, well let me do this. Let me share my screen.
Okay.
Let me know when you can see the diagram.
There it is, and boom.
Okay. So here it shows you have going back. This might test some of you in your geology in high school or college. You have your main tectonic plates is your Pacific plate, the North American, Eurasian, African, Antarctic, Indo-Australian, South America. Then you have the smaller plates like in India, Somalia, Nazca. So right here with my mouse, okay, yeah, and I see your mouse there next to mine. This is actually probably the largest one here is the brown, the North American tectonic plate.
Yes. Here.
So it covers Mexico, United States, Canada, right, and goes on, and it includes Greenland, parts of Russia over here, Alaska. So out of this whole tectonic plate, it's thin on the perimeter. So see the black line?
Yeah.
Separating. Okay, well, it's the thinnest there. Well, this plate, it hugs the west coast of Mexico, United States, and then up there, Vancouver, Canada, British Columbia, and Alaska. All right. Unfortunately, that's thin. That's the thinnest spot of the North American tectonic plate. In this area, in fact, the thickest or safest place of all northern hemisphere. I don't know if anyone's going to roll their eyes when they hear or roll their eyes hearing this or not. Doesn't. What are you going to do? The safest and thickest place of all northern hemisphere, believe it or not, is the Ozark Mountains in middle United States.
Wow.
That's the safest place in all of Northern Hemisphere.
Wow. Right here. Right in here.
Yeah, starting from Missouri, going down through Arkansas.
Right in here.
And
wow.
Yep. And we're not the only ones that know this. That information has been well known quite some time.
Is this why all these people are retiring in the Ozarks? All these Navy people, military people, they're retiring in the Ozarks?
I don't know. What do you think? If they knew what we knew, don't you think you'd move there? I would.
So when's the next big push going to happen? So this, you were telling me that that this was going to be big hail and big wind, and it's on the magnetic pole. When's it going to start heating up again? We're already in this. We're already heating it up because we have all these active volcanoes and earthquakes. What's the next big black star time?
Yeah, I'm going to share. Let me share another photograph while I'm talking. Is that all right?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when this pops up, do you see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It seems the activity, I have in this red block here. See my mouse?
Yep.
Right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is Indonesia. That was the epicenter of 2004, the tsunami that killed so many people. And it's very active spot, part of the Pacific Rim of earthquake and volcanic activity. These magma corridors seem to stem kind of like an octopus, where Indonesia is the head or the body.
Yep.
And these main magma corridors, Corridor 1, heading north of Indonesia, and maybe going through North South Korea, the Philippines, Japan, China, over through Alaska, and then coming down British Columbia, Vancouver to Washington, Oregon.
Yeah, here, boom, boom, boom,
yeah,
boom, boom.
Corridor number 1, corridor number 2 would come down, and it would incorporate maybe Australia, New Zealand, circle around to Antarctica, and then come up the west coast, South America. You've got Chile, right? Peru, Colombia, Central America, Mexico, Baja Mexico, San Diego, Los Angeles. San Francisco-ish, right? Yeah, and then Corridor 3, and you had inside information that goes through India and the Middle East, the Mediterranean. Corridor 4 would come down below Africa, and then they converge near the Azores, for example, or they continue most likely a trunk line up to Iceland. So you know how active Iceland has been lately, right? Well, this corridor number 3, for example, became very active, and we knew much ahead of times, and you had the intel, the predictions of the massive earthquake in Turkey, and then the volcanic activity in Italy months before it happened. How do we know? How do we have this information? How do we know? Through computer modeling and predicting of the rising of the magma surrounding the Earth's core and Earth being pressurized. So what happens is, because the magma in that one illustration I showed you is superheating the ocean floors, it's in contact with all these continental plates, and it's basically melting. The oceans have warmed up. Well, of course they're going to warm up when you have hot magma underneath. It's like putting boiling water on a stove. You put water in the pan, you put heat underneath the pan, the water heats up. So what's happened is, as the oceans warm up, the main regulatory coolant system of Earth has been the oceans and the ocean currents. It's like your radiator system in your car with antifreeze. Keeps the engine from overheating or freezing. Well, with the oceans heating up, the ocean currents are losing its ability for the Earth to maintain temperature equilibrium. That's its main coolant system. So because of that, and you're starting to have ocean currents stalling, the Earth is acting schizophrenic. It's trying to maintain temperature equilibrium, and if the oceans are heating up and the ocean currents are stalling, then it's forced to use the upper atmosphere to try to cool and regulate temperatures. So now we're having massive polar vortex volatility because it's the jet stream and moving the cold temperatures from the North and South Pole, move it around down to the equator because it's trying to pick up what the oceans used to do so efficiently. So I don't know. Call me Sherlock Holmes. Do you think maybe that's why Florida had snow recently?
It might be also all the crap they're doing with the geoengineering that they will not stop. I mean,
right. Yeah, that's a whole other.
It may go hand in hand.
Yeah, it does. That's a whole nother discussion. That's why it takes days in these seminars to go over all the scientific data and information. But how does that relate to the listening audience? Well, as you had heads up and you've had intel for 2.5 years, here's a quick synopsis. Winds will continue to increase all over the planet. Well, let's focus on the United States, for example, because this is where we live. Most of, I bet you're an international audience, but this applies everywhere. But in the United States, we'll have greater and greater winds, 30, 40, 50 mile an hour winds. We won't have winds typical, oh, it's always windy in the spring, transitioning from winter into spring. No. I'm talking 30, 40, 50 mile an hour winds that last for weeks and weeks and weeks. And it affects air flight, especially small aircraft. Flights canceled. Difficulty airlines landing. Wasn't there an incident that happened recently in Toronto, Canada? Wind shears. Pilots are really going to start earning their money from this day forward, trying to land aircraft with these winds. Farmers are going to have very difficult time planting because the winds won't stop. Well, with that, you'll have property damage, commercial, residential. You'll have roofs being compromised, trees, power lines. From hailstones will continue to get larger and larger and larger. And at this crescendo, hailstones will be larger than soccer balls. Well, then we get into biblical territory. If you want to, not now, but we spill into predictions in these ancient texts, that's exactly what it's talking about. When it's talking about earth changes and pestilence and famine and earthquakes in one place after another, tsunamis, hurricanes, tornadoes. These are descriptions of Earth under stress and being transformed. It's all due to the second anomaly that entered our solar system.
The black star.
Yes.
Will you go back to the planet and show us, give us a little primer? This is blowing my mind. Let's go back to the planets and go back to, how you can fast forward it and say, here's why this is going to be especially bad for Earth. This has happened before, 4,000 years ago, plus or minus. But show us how you can fast forward and show where the Earth is going to be when this anomaly, which you can't see, will come in to play. It's your planetary slide, which you can show that, how you can fast forward the thing around and that kind of thing, and show that forward. I thought that was very interesting, how the planets align when this thing gets, and it's not actually, coming in and going out. It's just, it's coming. As the Earth goes around the solar system, coming. And then we're getting this, and then the Earth actually moves closer to it as it's moving closer to it. But it's not going to hit anything. It's just going to cause all kinds of stuff. Yeah. Let's go over there. So let's
do you see it?
Yeah. You were telling me about 26 and 28. Those are the two big years you were marking. Why? So let's go start with 2026.
So let's say this solar system anomaly that's interacted with the inner planets before many times in the millions of years history, for example. Let's say it's coming at its perihelion. So that's when it's closest to the sun and then jettisons out.
It doesn't hit anything. It's not going to hit us.
No. Yeah, I don't have to worry about that. It's not like a Hollywood movie where it hits a planet or anything. And it's very, very small, but size doesn't matter. It's the field theory physics, which explains all of this. Everyone is classically taught atomic theory. It's all the universities. I was as well. Field theory. That's a whole nother interview we can do. That is actually more accurate of a model. of how life in our solar system works.
It's very small, but it emits this energy. I mean, explain
this energy, yeah, affecting the cores of the interior planets. Now, what happened was, let me back up. Jupiter, this electromagnetic connection happened around the fall of 2004, and it's been inbound ever since. So the Earth, Mars, they've been getting more and more activity with their core. Up until 2018, Jupiter was over here. And Jupiter, the gas giant of Jupiter, played a large role in acting as a buffer for many years, from 2004 to 2018, as far as the electromagnetic emission of this anomaly. The problem is, after 2018, Jupiter had moved out of position and is no longer able to help Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars since 2018. So since 2018, all these magma corridors of the Earth were fully pressurized, and all these volcanoes, many that were dormant for 2,000, 2,300, 2,700 years, all of a sudden became active. Well, yeah, that's because Jupiter's out of position, can't help buffer anymore, and these 4 interior planets have had full brunt of this electromagnetic emitter, and the Earth has been fully pressurized since 2018. Well, what happens when you make popcorn? You put the lid on the popcorn, and popcorn pops. As the popcorn fills, what happens to the lid? Right? The lid starts to come off because of the pressurization of the popcorn rising. So the Earth, the plates are starting to separate, and there's breach, especially on the ocean floors. There's over 100,000 seamounts on the ocean floor. So let me do this. See here, April 11th, 2025.
So, 100,000 sea mountains that are coming up from the floor that we can't see.
Yeah, and a lot of them are like 1.5 miles tall, but they're under the oceans. There's 100,000 of them. Oh, here's
the Navy knows this. They all know.
Yeah. Okay,
so the Navy mapping for the submarines, that's a problem now. They can run into a mountain under the water.
Oh, they can't? Okay, so here's what happened.
No, they can. They can run under. They can,
and they have, Greg. Look.
Wow.
The USS San Francisco submarine, January 8th, 2005. Now, anyone's in former Navy, they would know this. The USS San Francisco is a Los Angeles class submarine. Well, what are Los Angeles class submarines? Well, they're involved in intelligence gathering, surveillance. They're anti-sub. They're submarines that go stealth, and they can be 4 months underwater. They got enough food and water and everything. 4 months, and they're on mission. Intelligence, surveillance, hailing other anti-submarine unit. So when they're in these missions, they can't use sonar. They can have communication and blow their location, right? It's like these movies, Red for October or whatever. Okay. The U.S. Navy has had the oceans mapped, completely mapped, thoroughly mapped since the late 70s and the 80s. Remember the era of the Cold War with Reagan and Gorbachev? Okay. January 2005, USS San Francisco slams into a seamount, unknown seamount, and had to surface. Took years to repair. They didn't know it was there. It had popped up within 90 days of their recent satellite mapping. So they're running dark on a mission. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. They're running dark in a mission, slam right into this seamount that wasn't supposed to be there according to their mapping. 2005. That was from the anomaly of fall of 2004 when the tsunami hit. The magma pushed through the ocean floor. USS San Francisco ran right into it. How about USS Connecticut, October 2nd, 2021? Same thing. They can be underwater up to 85 days, 3 months at a time. Surveillance, anti-submarine. Also, mysteriously ran into an unmapped, unknown seamount, October 2nd. Extensive damage, had to surface years of repair.
Tell us why.
So when you have
worse.
submarines, when you have submarines hitting these, and that's because the Earth is pressurized and they're popping up all over the ocean floors. The U.S. Navy can't even map them fast enough and keep track.
Oh boy! Now show us how the Earth moves around and how it comes towards. At one point, if you look right here at what, and so right now this is today, and somewhere over here is this black star, but when Earth is right over here, it's less problem as opposed to when it comes around in a year and ends up over in here. Show us what happens and how.
Right. So let's see my mouse.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say in this region is this anomaly.
Yes.
Where my mouse is. Okay, so this is April 11th, 2025, and the anomaly is right here inbound, but it's actually coming up this way. It's right here.
Okay.
Okay, just outside of Mars orbit.
Yep.
Now, watch what happens when I grab Earth, and watch the date. This is April 11th, 2025. Watch what happens when I move this.
February 2026. Earth is all by itself.
Look at February 2026. The anomaly is right here. See where my mouse is? All the planets are on this side of the, see this line here?
Yep.
All the planets are on this side of the ecliptic except for Earth. You don't think there's going to be noticeable geological events this time when Earth is all by itself on top of this anomaly and all the other planets are over here? And when Mount St. Helens erupted in September 1980, you had a similar planetary alignment. All the planets were on this side of the ecliptic, and the Earth was all by itself when Mount St. Helens popped. Now, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is around end of winter. February 2026, right? Now let me go forward. Watch what happens. 2027. Here's 2028.
Here we are again.
Same thing. Earth is all by itself, and all the other planets are on this side of the eclipse.
Let me get in here. I'm just going to hold on. Get where is that? Oh, wrong one. So now the dark star, black star, is closer. Now it's inside. At this point, it is inside this between Mars and Earth in 2028. It's at the closest it's going to be. Doesn't hit Earth, and then what happens? Then it goes away like this. It comes up here and it gets repelled and goes away. What happens?
Yeah. Comes up here. It comes up here. Then it slingshots out of our solar system due to solar system harmonics between its electromagnetic core and the sun's core. But what happens is, during a crucial time, and again, this is it's disturbing. There's no other way to say it. And I'll preface this. I hope I'm in our scientific community. I hope we're completely wrong, and this is a non-event.
Okay, well let's.
Well, if there's a chance, how did we know all these predictions of the volcanoes, the earthquakes, the hailstorms, the wind? All the data has been 100% correct since 2004. So that's what scares me. Okay, what happens is, as it's inbound, the anomaly, this electromagnetic emitter, will grab hold of Earth's magnetic polarity, because that's why the magnetic north is slowly moving, because it's being influenced by this electromagnetic emitter. So the North Pole is moving closer to Siberia. It used to be in Canada, and it moves about 35 miles a year. Why is it moving? It's because of this electromagnetic emitter is influencing the North Pole. The magnetic North Pole is moving close to Siberia. So it'll get magnetic polarity to the Earth, and it'll tilt the Earth, for example, like from the 12 o'clock position to 3 o'clock. It'll gain polarity of the Earth over our sun, tilt the Earth from 12 to 3 for, I don't know, 2.5, maybe 3 weeks. Then as it jettisons out of our solar system, the Earth will go, from the Earth perspective, the Earth will go dark for 3+ days.
Oh,
It'll seem like this.
That's in the Bible. This is how we get the 3 days of darkness in the Bible.
Right. It'll seem like the sun went out. Now, the sun, what happens is the sun is still emitting its radiation, its electromagnetic energy, but it's diverted to the core of this anomaly for 3+ days. And that's what slingshots the black star, for lack of better words. That's the closest thing to describe it, this anomaly. It slingshots it out. But when you're on Earth, Venus, Mars, it'll seem like the sun has gone dark because all the energy goes to the core, slingshots us out. And after it starts to jettison out, it'll lose magnetic polarity of the Earth. The sun will take over, and then the Earth will snap back from 3 o'clock back to 12 o'clock. So you don't want to be near any coast at that time because you're going to have the sloshing of the oceans.
This is in January of 2028.
Yeah, so that was, you had 2026, the end of winter, 2026, and the end of winter, 2028, are very nervous because of the alignment of the planets, where you have all the planets on one side of the ecliptic of the sun, and Earth is all by itself. So we're very concerned about, plus, I mean, we're concerned right now. What about Myanmar? Look how many people are dead there. Look how many people died in Turkey. So the Earth's transformation is already affecting people, but it'll get worse and worse and worse. And it's going to affect the climate. It's going to affect air traffic, commerce. It's going to affect the safety, food, the growth of food, the distribution. It's a biblical event. This is the most disturbing and highest concern in mankind's history. It dwarfs politics, central banks, debt, price of gold and silver, Bitcoin. That's a non-event. That's fourth grade recess topics when you have all the data compared, and an extremely important research paper here.
Other side.
Yeah, I can't show it.
Oh, you can't show it. Oh, okay.
I showed you in private. I can't show it on. So, so what happens is also, as the sun's powering down, we have this anomaly. When the anomaly leaves, the sun is powering down. It will recalibrate, and we're going to have a mini ice age. So we have a 250-year forecast, and then we do have governments and agricultural departments are very interested in this long-term forecast with the physicists who came up with this, years of research. There's a lot going on with humanity and the planet Earth the next 250 years, but primarily right now, we need to worry about what's been happening since 2004 and what's going to happen the next 5 years. So I strongly recommend. Oh, go ahead. I'll stop.
Jesus in the. I'm coming back to the Bible because I'm kind of telling on you here. You're a scientist, but you're also a Bible scholar. You told me when I first met you, said there's a lot of science in the Bible, and the Bible's backed up by science, and science backs up the Bible. So, there's a lot of science in the Bible. It's a good book. This is, so, and that's why the 3 days of darkness. How do you get there? Oh, because this thing slings out. Your Earth turns and you get, you have a magnetic event and things go dark. 3 days of darkness. This is how you get 3 days of darkness. And you also showed a map, the Navy map, which now you can understand.
Okay.
Why does the Navy map look the way it does, where, the whole world gets reformed? America is not a continuous continent. And this is a Navy map. This is the U.S. Navy drew this map. Okay, this is continents pop up, and Europe looks like it's about completely gone, and it's the whole Earth changes.
Do you want me to?
Yeah. Go to it. I'm going to go full screen you, and you show the map.
Yeah, this is kind of an artist rendering. It's speculation, so it's a guess as to future Navy maps.
This is from the U.S. Navy, folks. This is from the United States Navy.
So what happens is with the solar system harmonics and what we've been experiencing since 2004, a planet this size, it takes about 25 years of an electromagnetic influencer to make these changes. Same thing in Noah's day. if you can remind me, I can bring up an interesting point about that account. This is what pressurized the earth in Noah's day, and when all the underground oceans and aquifers were pressurized, because in Noah's day it rained 40 days when the upper canopy broke, and water shot out from under the ground 40 days. Well, what did that is the magma corridors, pressurized, swelling, pushed up all the same things happening now. But here you can see the West Coast is non-existent. The United States is cut in half. The Great Lakes will be connected to the Gulf of Mexico.
The Gulf of America.
Most of Europe is gone. You have Japan is completely missing, the Philippines, but you have new land masses popping up that you don't see before. So the Earth will look different. Well, the Earth looked different pre-flood of Noah's day. The Earth has looked different in many, many, many times throughout its millions of years of history.
Yeah, this is Greenland up here. I guess this is why Trump wants Greenland.
Yeah, the expansion.
Be one of the biggest land masses in the world. Well, we got this over here too. What happens in Antarctica? Do we see that? Is that all the ice? Is that all going off Antarctica when this happens, or
no?
What?
It's still there, but the picture's not showing. They kind of keep that secret, Antarctica. They don't talk much about that. But yeah, you'll have land masses that will become ocean floors, and new land masses that breach the ocean and become islands and continents.
This looks like this map here. It looks like I've seen this before. You can do the Navy back. You can look at it yourself. It just looks like it goes right through Illinois, right through the Great Lakes, and right through Canada.
Yeah, through liquefaction, you'll have that area will become basically a shallow corridor. Yeah, and you'll have a shallow sea causeway there. It might be in some areas 60 to 90 feet deep. It won't be very deep, but it'll be a shallow corridor from the Great Lakes down to the Gulf of Mexico.
Florida's gone, the West Coast, most of North Carolina's gone, New York's gone, Maine. I mean, if you look over here, my gosh, this is what you were talking about how the crust is going to fail. And you're saying this is one of the weakest spots over here on this side in California?
Yeah, it's melting from underneath. And if you look at the earthquake data, you can see the earthquakes originally started 450 plus miles deep, and then they get more closer and closer to the surface because the magma.
The Navy knows this, that this shelf is thin relative to what's in Missouri, what's in the middle of the country right here, right? The Navy, that's why they drew this map.
Yeah, well, these are guesstimations, but even if it's 60% accurate, it still gives you a visualization that this is nothing to sneeze about. And if you have the scientific data, I've had the privilege, I'm being sarcastic, I've had the privilege of knowing this for 20 years.
Wow.
So I'm under a lot of stress. That's why I have a hard time sleeping at night. So while everyone's going to a ball game and going to concerts and their kids' soccer games, I understand that. Life goes on. But when you understand what's happening to the earth, nothing else matters in the news.
Yeah, but we're getting to the point now.
This is a biblical proportion of what's happening. So what's interesting is, I'm not going to turn into a TV evangelizer. So the audience, don't worry. Just give me 60 seconds.
Yes, I will. Come back on full screen because, and while you're doing that, I wanted to say, because there's things that Jesus said in the Bible, right? And I believe him. And he said that there will be no time as bad as this, in no time in the past, in no time. Basically, not exactly. I know you probably know the exact quote, but no time as bad as this, and no time in the future as bad as this. This is going to be the worst time ever, and this is why. Am I right? This black star, this anomaly, this electromagnetic emitter, is that the reason why this is going to be the worst time in history?
Yeah, because we're tying ancient texts, ancient records, scriptural manifestos, and scientific data for over 20 years. We have this very broad education spectrum, and we're connecting the dots. And what we're connecting is what was discussed in this interview, and it's very, very disturbing. There's no way to sugarcoat this. there isn't necessarily a happy ending. I'll get into, well, what can we do about it? Well, first of all, there's not much anyone can do about it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do when half of the West Coast is under the seafloor, under the ocean? Nothing. You can't. So maybe you can strategically locate. We do consulting to people. Well, what about future ag production? Okay, there are areas, as I mentioned, I gave some clues, northern, southern hemisphere that are more secure. Okay, well, you can move there, but still there's issues beyond that. But what happens is the flood around 2348 BCE, before our Common Era. 2348, you had the flood. If you want to bring a scriptural reference, this is interesting because Jesus likened the last days when he talks about the Great Tribulation and then followed by the event of Armageddon. He mentioned in Matthew 24 that the last days would be very similar to Noah's day pre-flood. So he mentions the fact that in that time period, people will be eating, drinking, marrying, being given and married. And they took no note until the flood came and swept them all away. Well, to most people who attend church and read the scriptures, the first thing that comes to their mind is Matthew 24, listening to Jesus' statements. They're like, okay, they took no note. So what that Jesus must have meant that while Noah was building the ark, which took a little over 70 years to build, the ark, Noah and his family, they weren't heeding Noah's warning. He was building the ark and they were laughing and scoffing at him, and the scriptures say that Noah was a preacher of righteousness. They were ignoring him. Well, that would be a correct assessment of evaluating the scriptures, but from our perspective, that's half the answer. That's the A portion. There's a B portion of what Jesus meant by that. The B portion is the fact that in Noah's day, people were taking no note. They weren't in tune with the earth, and they were not recognizing the signs the earth was giving 30 to 40 years prior to the event. That's the B portion of it. And so they could have dismissed Noah as a crackpot and whatever. He got a vision. He's building this ark. Okay, good for him. No, they were also ignoring the earth changes. The earth was testifying. You can't have an anomaly like a black star or electromagnetic emitter approaching our inner solar system, affecting Venus, all the planets, but mainly the interior planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. You can't have that 30 plus years and not be on the surface of the earth and realize there's rumbling and something going on. That's where they were paying no note.
Yeah.
And the flood came and swept them all away. So you look at today, we've had these events since 2004. You connect the dots, submarines running into stuff that wasn't there, increase of volcanic earthquake activity, over 1,300 volcanoes active, and the oceans warming up, currents stalling, the jet stream now, the earth trying to maintain temperature equilibrium. So you have these polar vortexes, extreme winds and hurricanes, snow in Florida. And people are going, I wonder who's going to win the World Series coming up. Are you kidding me? See, it's people taking no note.
Well, you had tailwinds that reported last year at 800 miles an hour. Record breaking. I mean, yeah, they got from New York
150 mile an hour tailwinds, record breaking.
Yeah.
Last year.
Okay. Well, so we have some time, and things are going to get worse. And this is near term. This dark black star is going to get worse and worse. There's going to be volcanic ash in the airs, which I want to tell people. And I tell people this, and I have you on because you invented this, and I paid full price for it. I don't mean to sound like, you didn't give me anything. No. Because it's worth it. It's fantastic technology with these shots, what they want to depopulate, and this CV-19 shots they don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about geoengineering. They don't want to talk about all this black star, and they're tunneling underground, the boring company, and all these deep underground bunkers and all that. Nobody wants to talk about that. But Nancy Pelosi's had face surgery, and George Santos is going to go to jail, and right? I mean, it's okay. So. But the things that can help you, and this is your original invention, the carry ion, the carry ion ionization. I got it on. It's quiet. It also knocks out all these particles, this nanoparticle they're spraying all over us. The wellness company said that they got grants to vaccinate people, aerosolized vaccinations. This is their wellness company saying they're spraying the stuff on you, all this, the stuff that could come out of these volcanoes. Just kind of takes care of it. Also, a lot of people.
Mystery fogs in Florida.
Yeah.
Other places.
Yes, that's that mystery. It's we're being killed off, right? And so one of the things that a lot of people bought these units, a 1500 and a 2700. They look the same, but they need maintenance. They need new parts. Like your car can't run on the same oil filter, the whole time. But most of these parts last a couple of years. The beauty of these, yes. Hold on a minute. Hold that thought. The beauty of this thing here, this is one of the ones I use all the time, is that these machines can be taken apart without tools. If you're using a screwdriver to pry it apart, you're making a mistake. Okay, like for example, you can take this off, unplug this here, take this off like so. Okay, and then you could take this, pinch it, and see those parts that you were holding up?
Yeah, these. Mm-hmm. The PCO cell and the purification plate.
Yes, like, for example, plus you can take the filters out. For example, here's the PCO cell, the big cell. I'm going to take this one out, show you how easy it is to come out. See? This is how you replace it. So hold on a minute. There you go. There it is. Okay. So it comes right out. Boom. No tools, right? Put it back in, plug it in. Here's the purification plate that only lasts about a year. So you take this out. I just replaced this.
Yeah, these burn out in 10 to 12 months.
Okay,
They're
hold on.
least expensive. This produces little trace amounts of ozone.
Okay.
But it gives you that fresh air smell.
That's my arm here we go. Oh, yeah, okay. This is the arm that took a vein out from my heart surgery, so it's not as strong. So anyway, but comes out right here, just like this. Whoop. Yeah, hold on, come on. Don't be mean to me now. There.
You just squeeze it and slide it out.
That's it. Sorry, I'm not like you. That's it. Just comes out. That's one of the things that needs to be replaced. Right. Okay. If I wasn't on camera, I'd put it back in. It can only plug in one way. You can't get it upside down. If you get it upside down, it won't plug in. So
yeah, we designed it that. Yeah.
Right. So there you go. And then the other cell, the round one is.
If you have a 2700, you'll have the bipolar ion generator with the.
That's in the back there. Well, I'll just go ahead and show people. Here, watch. So you take
I can see it in your.
You pull it down and you pop it out. Ding.
Yeah, right. These last the longest. These last about 2.5 years. This is what's in the carry ion.
Yeah. What's in the carry.
So depending on what model you have, and how long ago you bought it, you might need to get these replacement parts, because we look in our client list, and there's a lot of people that they're like, well, they probably forgot that they have to order the parts. And I want to make sure everyone at least has their machine operating at its full potential.
Well, we have all this Chinese stuff. Big tariffs going both ways now.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen to the parts? I know you're going to have you brought a lot of the parts here to America. But some of the stuff you do get some of the components in China, and I'm sure you're going to be getting more of it. But people need to rebuild these units, or if you've had this unit for 2.5 or 3 years, then you probably need to rebuild this. You have a rebuild deal, or you can buy a new one. You can buy a new one for around $300 right now, or you can get it rebuilt. And how much is the savings there if you rebuild that?
You save $90.
Oh my gosh. So and it's like new when you redo it. Oh, just so
it's right. It's all new components. Okay. We just use the original. Like if your carry-on's in good shape, you haven't dropped it, and it's not all cracked, and then we can reuse the shell. But we put all new components, and it's basically like a brand new unit. Saves you $90. We just did that as a courtesy. If people kind of tight on money, and they don't want to buy a new carry-on every 3 years, to save almost $100. So
there,
we condition them at the factory.
I just took it apart. No tools. If you do not need tools, if you are using a screwdriver, you are messing up. There's also a place on your website too that shows maintenance and shows you do a great job, a better job than I do. I don't do this, but you can do it like a magician. But you can. But it's not that hard. I mean,
on the website, it's the tab is called More, MORE.
Yeah.
if you click on more, there's a drop-down screen, and I did a couple of YouTube videos, how to perform maintenance on the Carry Ion, the 1500/2700. And that visual helps people, remind them how to clean it. If it's real bad, we've had a couple people, if it's real bad, just send your unit into us at the factory, and we'll disassemble it and clean it for you at the factory. It's only like $29 or 30, something like that. And then we ship it back to you. This isn't a sales pitch. We're so busy with what's happening to the earth and trying to develop technologies. We have advanced agricultural technologies. We have structured engineered water. We have prototype med beds that are allowed in the United States. There's no grass that grows under our feet. We are super busy. I work 60 plus hours a week. I always have. But the whole idea is I'm trying to help people as much as possible. We have not raised prices the day you first interviewed me.
Wow.
We've had 3 price increases, and I made an executive decision. I've absorbed every single increase. People that have had machines beyond warranty, send it in, charge parts only, nothing for labor. I'm eating these costs year after year after year. I don't understand. I don't think people understand what I'm trying to do to benefit people. We're breaking even as a company. Who does that?
Well, the technology is listen, it's fat. I gave it to one of my friends who's got terrible, life-threatening allergies. And he was one of the original guy that when I sent him this, I said, "This is going to change your life, man." And he was like, "Thanks, that's nice. Thank you, that's nice, thanks." He calls me a week later, going, "Oh, I put it in my bedroom like you said, and put it up nice and high. I can't believe I sleep so much better. My allergies do better." And he ends up buying a couple of these, and he says, "This is like a breath of fresh air. This is like a tsunami of fresh air." And he's got awful, terrible allergies that he says in the springtime I have the worst time, but I have a zone inside. I have another friend of mine's wife has to have a CPAC. I gave her one. I just gifted one of these. I just said, "Hey, here you go." Thank you. I said, so he put it up in the room, and I said, I just talked to him about a week and a half ago. I said, "How's your wife doing with her CPAC?" And she was able to. He told me months ago, she was able to take it off after 4 hours and then sleep without having it on. Now she ain't using a CPAC anymore. You've had it, but we've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails, phone calls, people very appreciative. There's been days I've been very depressed. I'll get a phone call, very nice customer, snap me out of my depression, put me in a good mood. A lot of good only a handful of people that have returned it, and we try to be reasonable there and refund their money. I don't get any. Listen, dude, like I said at the beginning, you're one of my advertisers. I don't get people, "Oh, that's terrible. It doesn't work. It's a scam." No. Everybody's like, "Oh, I can't believe it, man. I bought this thing, and you said it worked, and dang, it works. It's great. I put it in my kid's room. My kid has allergies." You
wouldn't believe how many doctors, nurses, school teachers that buy this equipment for their classroom, for the hospital, for the nursing homes. They own it. They bought it themselves and take it to work because their boss or the organization weren't interested. That's very comforting to know that they're using their own hard-earned money and buying it themselves. They benefited so much, and then they help with the classroom, the daycare centers, the nursing homes, the operating rooms. Doctors put it right there during surgery. So,
and when I had my heart condition, I set it up in the room, and it ran 24/7. It ran, and
that's right.
I had a miracle outcome. I didn't have any heart damage, and I didn't get shed on by. If I did, this killed it off. But we get one of these big plumes from a volcano going off, and you're gonna be wishing you had one of these. You're gonna be wishing you had one. A 1500.
Well, and then you talked about all the fires that were in Canada. Well, they're not going to stop.
No,
they're going to continue until this event is over. So.
You think they're heightening geoengineering operations because they're trying to thwart this magnetic pull from this black star? You think that? You told me that. Is that right? I don't want to put your words in your mouth. This is why they won't stop it. They're not going to stop that. We call it atmospheric salting or geoengineering. They're not going to stop. They're under a certain scientific perspective, and they receive certain data. They've made a decision. Nothing's going to change it.
period. It's going to continue to happen. We're a different group of scientists. We have different data. We have different understanding of what's going on. We're like oil and water. We'll never mix. It's sad, but that's just the way it is. So we help people all over the world. We have technologies to help what's happening now and what is to come. We put our money where our mouth is. The other institutions, they have different philosophies. They have different agendas. They don't listen to us. We don't go to their conventions. We don't participate in their patents and their corporate structure anymore. We've gone our separate ways. We're a much smaller group, but I feel I'm on the right team.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean this, you're just one of my advertisers. I don't get complaints. I mean, rarely it's somebody's moronic. One guy got mad because you refunded his money. And I was like, yeah. Excuse me. Well, yeah. I didn't really, I wanted him to repair something or whatever. And because you couldn't make him happy. So you just it's after a year, you refunded his money. And I'm thinking, you do realize what you're telling me, that you're mad because you got your money back. Anyway, you have a phone number. I want to just get you close on this. You answer the phone. You're again, talk to human. Weston Scientific, 573-469-5013. Folks, you can't wait for this. This is not a luxury. This is a survival piece of technology, as all my advertisers have fantastic technology. And please, you're going to come back. You're going to. This is the only time you're going to come on and talk. The scientist Weston Warren, right?
Yeah, it's up to you and your audience. I'm curious to what kind of emails and feedback you're going to give.
Yeah,
but the data is so overwhelming. It could be weeks. Not that you'd have. It could be weeks of interviews going through what's happening.
We'll narrow it down.
What we're working on for people. It's so hard to do this in 1 hour, whatever the interview is. Yeah. Hitting people cold because everyone's going to go, well, wait a minute, Wikipedia and Google. I've never heard this. Who is this scientist?
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you know the news is censored? The internet, it's only what you need to know basis. I'm going on a limb here, and I've also given thousands of dollars of advice free on this interview. We have a division charged $30,000 to $100,000 to government agencies, agricultural centers, off-grid communities. I can tell you right now, I gave about $7,000 of free information on this interview. It's part of our consulting plan. That's because I'm trying to help. I'm sure I'm going to take a hit for this.
Listen, I tell people, you got a garage full of junk and your car's parked outside? Yeah. Well, you ought to clear that garage out and start parking your car inside, because we're going to have much more hail and we'll save you money in the long term. And I want to just close with one very short thing that used to, somebody actually wrote me and said, you ought to have Jet Blake on. I said, well, he is going to come on. He's going to use his real name. Well, you were Jet Blake. You had a YouTube channel like me, and I told people not to take these Satan shots, these bioweapon CV-19 shots, and whoop, I got kicked off of YouTube. You were talking about what you're talking about now. You were talking about the black star electromagnetic emitter and how it's going to mess up stuff and how it's going to cause all kinds of different earthquakes and volcanoes and wind and hail, and boom, you got kicked off of YouTube, right? And listen, so I know you were over the target. So I know you were. I thought you were over the target. That's why you got kicked off. But anyway, we'll leave it with that. Yeah. But you are Weston Warren, my friend and brother, with your this technology. Listen, I have it in every room in my house, folks. Don't wait. It's survival technology. You don't know what they're spraying on you, what they're going to be killing you with. A friend of mine, they've got these units here. He says, I put a new floor in my house. I said, yeah. He says, a really nice laminate floor, slick, beautiful. I damp mopped it and, had some people over. And, after about a week's time, I looked down and go, wow, I got it nice and clean. It was brilliant. It was smooth and it got dull. And I put my hand on the floor and I lifted it up and there was black outline all around where he said this thing knocks this crap they spraying in the air out of the air. It's unbelievable. So anyway, listen, Weston Warren at Weston Scientific, he's, one of the great advertisers and great people that is basically helping humanity. Weston Warren, thank you for joining us today there's lots of sales on your, there's lots of deals, bundles and stuff like that on on your website under the store hours. I'll put a link up to that. Weston Warren, thanks for joining us today on usawatchdog.com.
Thanks for having me. Appreciated it.
Thanks, Weston Warren of Weston Scientific. I hope you get tons of calls. And as we close, just to let you know about the other advertisers, discount gold and silver trading. Again, talk to human. This is Melody Cedarstrom and record gold sales. Silver's at around $32, and gold was at 3,200. That's 100 times 100 ounces of silver, roughly, to equal an ounce of gold. Silver's a deal. Either that or gold's way too expensive, and I think silver's a deal. But there you have discount gold and silver trading. Always prepared. This is the satellite phone store. These two right here with the sat phones and the battery-powered backup. You can use solar. You can use your house. Unbelievable amount of time that they will last charged up. I have one cell at a 2000, a EcoFlow 2000. I haven't charged it for 8 or 9 months, and it's still. I turned it on. It's 99%. This down here are the darkbags.com Faraday and ballistic bags. They'll block all signals, and also the backpack will stop most handgun rounds. Clean water, you got to have it. Dry Elements, some of the best in the business. Their filters fit Berkey, and they're great, and they have great water treatment options as well. So you have to dump out the tanks and keep continually, bleach them out and things like that. Dry Element, and there's the phone number. Talk to human. Weston Scientific, you got that. You got his phone number. I'm sure he's going to be busy this week, and yes, you will likely get him or his wife Tammy on the phone. They're dedicated people, and they will help you and make things fly right for you. The Wellness Company, you have the great products of the Wellness Company. Don't forget, there's 15% off and free shipping with the promo code USA Watchdog. Last but not least, Tax Network USA, again, 800. They'll talk to you for free. They won't fix your tax problem for fee, but they'll talk to you for free. Great people. Don Jr. is on there, and they have an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau. And just before we leave, one thing I want to do, I have a email service. These are the same. This is how you get join. I have AWeber, and I send out, whenever I'm going to be on, once in a while, and I haven't done it for over a year, once in a while I'll have a deal that I'll send. I do not sell the list. I do not and never sold the list. Just hit join, fill it out. You'll get a notification every time I'm on the air. Same thing with this. This is the same thing. There's no charge. Just fill it out in your email and hit submit, and you will get notified every time I come on with a great interview like the one we just did with Weston Warren. Thank you so much for supporting USA Watchdog with your comments and your donations. It helps us. I appreciate it. And this is why I say prepare yourself. Mentally, physically, and above all, and I mean this, spiritually, God the Father, Jehovah, His Son, Christ Jesus, and the Holy Spirit are firmly in control. And as Jesus said, and I think this is so hopeful, but it doesn't mean we're not going to go through a lot of problems, especially with this black star and the upheaval is going to happen, that there would be no flesh left if the days were not shortened. So for the sake of the elect, the days shall be shortened. Get on Team Jesus. That's the only way really to get through what's coming. Get on Team Jesus and make Him your Lord and Savior. Thank you again for supporting USAWatchdog.com.